The forest was unusually quiet one bright morning. Birds chirped softly, the river sparkled, and Grizzy the bear was in his happiest mood, a jar of honey in one paw and a spoon in the other. He sat lazily outside the ranger's cabin, soaking in the sunshine. Finally, he sighed, peace, quiet, and breakfast. But that peace didn't last long. A loud zip echoed from inside the cabin. Grizzy jumped up, honey spilling everywhere. Huh! He peeked inside. The whole cabin glowed with weird green light. And in the middle of it, of course, were the lemmings. They were all huddled around a strange machine, covered in buttons and blinking lights. It looked like a mini rocket control system, with wires running to the TV, blender, and microwave. One lemming shouted proudly, "Yay!" and pressed a red button. The microwave door popped open, launching a glowing waffle into the air. It hit the ceiling, bounced off Grizzy's nose, and stuck there. "What are you doing now?" Grizzy growled. The lemmings giggled and pointed at a small tablet attached to the machine. On the screen, it read, "Ranger's secret project, gravity reactor, do not touch." Grizzy's eyes went wide. "Do not touch." The lemmings all nodded, and immediately pressed every button at once. The machine roared to life. Lights flashed. The cabin shook. The forest wind howled. Then, boom! A beam of light shot straight up into the sky. Grizzy looked outside in horror. The moon started spinning faster. Trees bent backward, and floating rocks lifted from the ground. "Oh no," Grizzy gasped. "You little furballs just broke gravity." Within minutes, chaos spread everywhere. Fish floated out of the river like balloons, the ranger's jeep hovered upside down, and even the cabin furniture drifted to the ceiling. Grizzy grabbed a chair leg, holding on for dear life. The lemmings laughed and floated past him, riding frying pans like spaceships. "Stop laughing and fix this," Grizzy shouted, but his voice echoed weirdly as everything around him began drifting upward, even he was lifting off the ground. One lemming pressed another button on the machine, trying to help. Instead, the device sucked in a jar of honey and glowed brighter. Suddenly, the cabin launched like a rocket, blasting up into the clouds. "Rocket!" Grizzy screamed as the cabin soared higher and higher until it broke through the clouds and hovered above Earth. The lemmings cheered, waving spoons like astronauts. Grizzy stared out the window, speechless. "We're in space." A lemming pointed at the blue planet below and said proudly, "Home." Grizzy face-palmed. "Great. You've turned my breakfast cabin into a spaceship." While floating above Earth, the lemmings decided to play scientist. They connected cables, pressed buttons, and discovered a screen showing a big glowing red button labeled, "Planet Reset, Warning, Destroys Earth." Naturally, they pressed it. Grizzy screamed, "Oh," and dove across the room, knocking them over just in time, but his paw accidentally hit the switch beside it. The console started flashing. "Initiating Earth core reboot. 10 minutes until detonation." All the lemmings gasped. Grizzy's fur stood on end. "You blew up the Earth," he yelled. The lemmings huddled together nervously, then one of them raised a tiny paw and said, "Oops." Now they had 10 minutes to stop the countdown and save the planet. Grizzy and the lemmings split up, well, sort of. Grizzy tried to read the ranger's manual for the gravity reactor, while the lemmings turned the cabin into a floating laboratory. They used frying pans as helmets, plugged wires into toasters, and stuck stickers on buttons labeled science. Meanwhile, Grizzy accidentally hit a button that launched a drone satellite outside the window. It floated in front of them with the word "Reboot Cancel" glowing in green. "That's it," Grizzy said. "We just need to press that button." But the drone was drifting away into space, and the cabin's thrusters weren't working. The lemmings jumped into action. They tied honey jars to the exhaust vents and used soda bottles as rockets. "Are you kidding me?" Grizzy roared. The lemmings saluted dramatically, pressed their DIY rocket switches, and boom! The cabin shot forward, spinning wildly through space. They flew past asteroids, floating satellites, and even a frozen pizza delivery drone. Grizzy held on, roaring in panic, while the lemmings whooped and cheered like it was a roller coaster. Finally, they reached the satellite. Grizzy leaned out the window, trying to press the cancel button. But a lemming's tail hit the wrong switch again. Now the screen flashed. Reboot accelerated. 1 minute remaining. Grizzy's eyes widened. We're doomed. The whole cabin started glowing red. Alarms blared. The earth below flickered like it was overheating. Volcanoes erupted. Clouds spun. Oceans bubbled. The lemmings panicked, running in circles, while Grizzy desperately slammed buttons. Think, 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 he yelled. Then he saw it. The honey jar that got sucked into the machine earlier was still glowing inside the reactor. Honey, that's the power source. Grizzy grabbed it, opened the jar, and poured all the sticky golden honey over the reactor's overheating coils. Sparks flew, lights flickered, and suddenly the screen changed. Gravity restored, Earth safe. The cabin dropped out of orbit, falling through the atmosphere like a comet. Grizzy and the lemmings screamed as the cabin blazed through the sky, then, crash, landed right back in the forest, upside down but intact. The forest was peaceful again. Birds chirped. The sun rose. Everything was normal. Grizzy crawled out, covered in soot, holding his honey jar. Never again, he muttered. The lemmings cheered and waved tiny space flags. Then one lemming pulled out a button from his pocket, the same red one from before. Grizzy gasped. Don't you dare.